So the third stage of growth I wanted to talk about was, if we talk about the idea of you got your MVP phase where you have your product, you figure out some product market fit, and you get maybe to 7 figures in revenue, maybe you get a little beyond that. Everybody's arc is a little different. That's that first stage. And then the second stage, I think, and I've seen it multiple times, is it's still led by innovation. This time maybe because now you have a roster of clients, it can be client-led. So clients are actually giving you lots of ideas and delivering against those and seeing what really aligns with the larger set of the market. That's your next big feature. Your next killer feature will often emerge from that and lead to the next kind of burst of growth. From there, what I saw at Hidden Levers was that we had 2 stages of growth. So if I draw that out, so we had kind of the first arc and the second arc, and then we needed one more arc. So this was 2 million. This was not 48, this was 4 million, and here's 8 up here. There we go. So this first was from our MVP or the V1 of the product. And of course, when I say V1 of the product, we were innovating throughout. It was getting better all the time, but the fundamental core of the product was the same. And then this was the client-led innovation stage, where we built lots of things for clients, but finally one of them, proposals in particular, stuck, and it resonated with the market, and it doubled our revenue. It helped us double from there. And the last doubling, a big piece of that was enterprise. So this was the enterprise era, at least for us. Now, lots of companies, lots of startups, they never have an enterprise era. They can stay SMB SaaS and grow to 100 million in ARR or more. Like, they can just keep on going. And many other companies are only enterprise. So the specifics of what takes you from stage to stage will, of course, vary by company. In this specific experience, I think it's illustrative because we had to touch on multiple different areas to get large enough that we then became, when we were ready to sell, when we became a great acquisition target, and quite a profitable company at that point. So enterprise, what did that mean for us? So if I just dig a little deeper there, and how did we get from, this point to getting into enterprise? Well, actually, some of it, with like all of these things, it happens a little bit naturally. One way of ending up in enterprise, which certainly was part of our story, was that our best clients were just growing and using us more. And so they had more feature asks, more capabilities they wanted. And so in every case, or as much as possible, rather than do anything on a professional services basis, all we would do is we would say, okay, yeah, we'll build that for you, but now it's going to be, instead of being $2,000 a month for your subscription, it's going to go up to $3,500 a month. Or instead of $3,500 a month, it's going to go up to $5,000 a month. And we started pushing those numbers. Later, as we got larger and we were getting closer to this point, we wouldn't honor any feature requests in that way unless a firm was already paying us $5,000 a month. And so we were essentially pushing folks into those higher tiers to start with in order to to customize things or to build some of those features that they wanted. Invariably, everybody talks about with SaaS the idea that there's a certain amount of professional services secretly, quietly embedded in it, and we were no different. As we got past $5,000 a month and certainly past $100,000 a year, that became extremely common. There's always some expectations. What we made sure to do was to tie, as much as possible, always tie those asks either to a bump in the SaaS price when possible, when we could get agreement, or we did start to take on some professional services revenue because, hey, money is money. You don't say no to money as long as it paid for itself, meaning it was profitable in its own right. And so that helped our growth. But the other thing that happened was we landed some large enterprise clients. By the time we actually sold, we had 20 clients that I'll characterize as enterprise, and that equals 100K plus. So 20 clients that were paying 100K or more. But as with all things, quite often it can be top heavy. One client, so our number one client was 2.5 million. So really very, very big, right? Bigger than we wanted. And we actually, at exit, I think we were at 8.5, give or take, in ARR. So, but even then, that's a huge chunk, 30% almost of our revenue. We didn't love that degree of concentration. And had we continued to execute on the business, of course, we would have, broadened that out, to make that a little bit more diversified. But look at it from another perspective. There was a year in here from 4 million to 8 million where I think this one client led to like 50% growth by themselves. And then we added growth on top of that. And so don't look a gift horse in the mouth. That was a great experience and a great win for us. And we built them up. They didn't go straight from 0 to 2.5. It was a 500K deal that quickly became $1 million deal that then became a $2 million and $2.5 million deal. And so it was sort of over the course of probably 18 months, it kept growing and growing and growing as they're starting to see success and have more needs. So this was the answer to how we got there. It was moving into the enterprise. It's worth, probably you'd wonder, well, but how did you do that? And like I said, again, a lot of these clients that became 100K plus clients, they started out as smaller clients and they were just our best clients by meeting their needs. To some extent, this was customer success-led growth. And honestly, I should put that on the board, that this was customer success-led. And that was even true for our big $2.5 million client, because that firm was actually a roll-up firm that owned many subsidiaries that were RIA firms. And those RIA firms, we had something like a dozen of them as customers. That's what caught the home office, the enterprise's attention. And they're like, oh, well, if they're having so much success with this, let's take a look at it for our own needs. So that inherently is customer success led, because those clients were having a great experience. That, put us in the ear of the folks on top, and then we were able to bring it home. And so that led to the final phase of growth needed, in this case, to get to a place where we wanted to exit. If I mention the fraction story, and how we look at this, we're still figuring this out. We're not at the enterprise stage yet. Don't know what that looks like yet, and don't honestly know if that's going to be the next hop for us. I think we've gotten to the point where we maybe we can see the end of the first phase of growth, and we're looking at what are the innovations that take us to the next level. And hey, we'll see from there. Can't say I have all those answers just yet, but this gives you an idea that rather than thinking about it as one smooth curve or one exponential growth curve, you really do have these multiple hops, and at each of these stages, it's going to be something else. At some point, I think every successful company does utilize the notions of client-led innovation and customer success-led growth, and you can see how that worked for us here.